Hey, everybody, welcome back to the live room. Oh, boy, it's nice to finally catch my breath. I can tell you that.
Been busy?
Very busy.
That's what I like to hear. That's good.
I'm one of your hosts, Eric, with Jackson by my side
Hey.
no Tyler.
No Tyler tonight. He pulled a sickie.
Ooh, he chucked a
Pulled
sickie.
a
The
sickie.
classic
Chucked a
Australian way.
sickie.
So we have the best guest host / guest taking his spot, Daniel Aaron.
Mr. Daniel Aaron.
Thank you for having
Welcome
me.
to the team.
It's a pleasure.
How are you? How are you going?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Nothing else to say. Good. No, I'm busy. Very busy. Yeah.
Yes, very
All
good.
all the stuff going on.
Daniel is a very talented local musician here in the Bendigo area, making his way up to being a
Rock superstar.
rock superstar, pretty much.
Whatever you wanna call it.
You're pretty well on your way to making your name known and your musical style known through the music industry. But we'll come to that later.
All right.
So we'll come in hot here with some catch up. Jackson, how are you going?
Hey, things are well, man. You know,
Yeah, that's great. That's great. How's work going with the old coffee bean?
Work's work. We're not here to talk about work. We're here to talk about music, man. That's what's up.
That's it. Yeah, busy times here. Daniel, you work at the local music retailer shop. Muso stuff.
I do indeed. Yes.
What do you do there? How'd you get onto that gig?
Well, I mean, I've been shopping there since I started dabbling in the whole music world, and
Yeah.
that was just my shop. That's just where I went. Got to know the guys in there. Got to know Greg, the owner, pretty well, and so I seemed to become kind of mates-ish, and I ended up doing work experience there.
Oh wow.
That was only 2 years ago or so, fresh 6 months out of school kind of thing. I did work experience there, and I think I seemed to do okay. So they actually offered me Saturday work after that, but I couldn't take it obviously because I lived an hour away.
Yep.
And then like every time we were down, I went in there and they were like, "Oh, let us know when you're moving down here and whatnot." So that kind of made me think, "Oh,
That's
all right,
good.
That's good.
A fresh
Maybe-
face
yeah.
for the music shop, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
So then that was kind of, I wanted to move down this way anyway after finishing up in Pyramid
So
Hill,
where
up
were
in
you?
the sticks.
Pyramid Hill, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Through there, all your childhood, early life?
Yep. Whole 18 years of childhood in
Wow.
Pyramid Hill. It's
So tell us about Pyramid Hill. What's the scene in Pyramid Hill, right?
Not much going on there.
no, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Pyramid Hill. It's very small. I mean, it's about population of about 500 people.
Okay.
Just a small farming community kind of thing.
Oh yeah, very rural.
Very kind of close knit community. But I mean, I don't know if it's just the kind of person that I am or whatnot. I just didn't really feel its vibe too much in my later teens.
Yep.
I kind of wanted to get out and get amongst the music a bit more, and I love the beach kind of way. Like I always felt that I wanted to live down there and
Yep.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, so I was pretty, not to put a downer on Pyramid Hill or anything, but pretty keen to get
You
out
gotta
of there.
grow sometimes,
Yeah, well,
and
that's it.
That's the adventure of life, traveling around, seeing new cities, meeting new people.
Living
and
in a different country.
living in a different country.
Come on, people.
I myself was born in Bendigo, but I've moved away several times and
Yeah, right.
always seem to come back for some reason. But, I'm going to keep traveling for sure.
I was just recently up your hometown way over the weekend,
Right.
playing with our good friend Sean Orr.
Sean Orr experience.
And Tyler for the Echuca Winter Blues Festival.
Blues.
Or Pyramid Hill's close to Echuca, isn't it? Right?
Well, it's actually about the
or is it
same.
like in the in between
So,
point?
yeah, Pyramid makes like a triangle with Echuca.
Okay.
But
right.
Echuca is kind of where all the music started for me.
Yeah.
That's like my home stomping ground kind of
Yeah.
thing for the music and whatnot.
That's great.
Yeah, been around a few of the venues there and whatnot.
So you've obviously been to the American Hotel, have you?
Yes, I've played my fair share of gigs there.
Very good. I went to for the first time the other day, playing with Sean and the gang. Interesting story about this one. We were always set to play 4 sets on the Sunday, which is this last Sunday here.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna show up, we're gonna rock out, and it's gonna be awesome. And it was. Don't get me wrong, but that being said, we show up to the American Hotel. There's this massive stage there, and I'm thinking, oh, sweet, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great. And then I see this little like picnic table, with 2 like PA monitors on like milk crates. And I'm like,
I'm very familiar with. Yeah.
So then, and then I think we all just came to the realization, like, oh shit, we're actually going to be playing that. The size of that stage was probably as big as this carpet here that we're sitting on right now. Maybe a little bit smaller.
This barely fits your drum kit, right?
This barely fits the drum kit. So we load up the whole drum kit onto the stage, and like I packed it as tight as I could while still having a little more room to play. And there's just enough room for Tyler and Sean by my side. And gee, yeah, I've played some small stages, and that's probably the smallest stage I've ever played.
Far out.
But like the funny thing is, like Sean has been always billed as like an acoustic guy, a solo artist.
Yeah.
And they weren't expecting him to bring a band, and they didn't have a backline ready or anything. So that's why I had to supply my own drums, our own amps, even microphones down to that, because they just thought they were going to go direct out of his guitar and have him sing.
He's probably played there several times in the past, right?
Yeah. He would be, same thing with Daniel. Like if you guys have played there quite frequently, they would know who Sean Orr is. They would know who Daniel Aaron is. So they would expect, Sean Orr just by himself, not the band. So we did 4 sets over the course of like 6 hours or whatever, 4 45-minute sets. It was pretty good. I mean, like, like the main band would play on the main stage and they would have their break and then we would play.
Yeah.
So it was fun, but we caught some bad weather. So it was raining fairly heavily throughout the day as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So a good thing we were under a tent, but
adds to the whole blues atmosphere though, doesn't it? Like.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But it was fun to get out and play again, and got some nice compliments about, playing and all that stuff. So it's just good. So I've got the fire in my belly for playing out live more. Just needs to happen more often.
Feed the beast.
Feed
good.
the beast. So speaking of playing live more often, Daniel Aaron, you have a lot of live shows coming up in a row that, dare I say, we can call a tour.
We can. That's what I've been calling it.
Let's talk about this tour that you have coming up. So you're starting August 5th. Is that correct?
Yeah, this weekend coming.
Yeah.
Bit nervous about that one, kicking off the tour. But so it's starting at Suki Lounge in Belgrave.
Okay.
I
Nice.
was pretty stoked about getting that gig. I sent out heaps of emails. This is the first kind of experience of anything like this I've had. So I did it all myself. No manager,
It's a lot.
That. Yeah, and I discovered certainly that it's a lot of work. It's kept me very on my toes. And a lot of learning curves with it all. I've learned a lot of things and learned a lot of what to do next time. That's for sure.
That's it.
Give myself more time. So I just shot off heaps of emails to just heaps of different places to see what I'd get back. And some got nothing. Some got, a bit of, we're not interested, thank you for now kind of thing. I was like, that's cool,
Yeah.
And then, I heard back from a few places and and Suki Lounge was one. And like I've heard of them quite a bit, quite a lot of bands that I like have played there and whatnot. And so I was pretty surprised that they were interested actually. But so I guess that says something good.
It seems to be the approach, just like everyone's managing this themselves these days, and it's just about that hustle of, cold calling, sending emails.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I get a bit of social anxiety kind of thing, and like I get a bit like, I'm going to be annoying and that kind of thing. And like I don't want to get up in their grill and that, but it's just for me, it's just about doing something, just about getting some momentum and keeping that going. And I mean, like, if anyone's gonna say like, what are you doing kind of thing, it's, well, tell me what to do otherwise. Like,
That's exactly it.
It's all just kind of figuring it out. Like, unless someone's there to coach you through it, then there's nothing else to do really.
When you have a passion and you want to get something done with it and make it your career, your job, it turns into business a little bit,
Exactly.
And there's aspects with the business approach, and you just gotta treat it like a business,
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, for me, it's always been like, music is my passion for this, and I love it. But yeah, lately there's definitely been that business aspect, and it's been a different kind of vibe. Me thinking of it as more of a business approach. But yeah, I think I like to keep a sort of balance between the two.
It's
Balance
difficult.
is key.
It's very difficult, man, because like I'll give you a good example, right? I've always loved music production. I've always loved recording. Okay. The business side has taken over almost my love for music.
For sure, yeah.
To the point where it's like, what the hell am I doing? You know what I mean? But you have to be very smart and present yourself in a marketable way, especially as a solo musician. You are your own guy, man. You're doing this all yourself. And especially like if you're presenting yourself to be booked at, you know, different places, you need to seem approachable. You need to have a good vibe. You know what I mean? That's where all your social media and everything comes in handy, all your branding. And like even down to your singles that you've recently done. So I want to get into a little bit of those. We'll come back to the tour. Your style of music is very unique and very cool. And it's interesting because I was saying to Jackson beforehand when we were doing a little bit of pre-show prep,
As we do.
because we can reference. I've seen you play twice. We've seen you play because we played with you a couple of weeks ago.
Caught you a couple times myself.
Back at the Vine. It's a range of styles, but they all tie in very well to each other. So you do like your own solo 12-string guitar stuff with a lot of you know, foot stomping and you know, bells and whatever jingles to accommodate as well. But your production is totally different to what you would normally do, like lots of loops and lots of different things. So talk about your style of music. How would you describe it to a general listener?
That's been something
It's a difficult question.
Yeah, it's always really hard to answer. And like, you know, I don't want to be one of those cliche, like, oh, my music's can't put it in a box kind of thing. But, you know, like that's...
But you can't.
I can put aspects of my music into different boxes, but to tie it all into one, it's been a very hard question to answer. And lately, I've been thinking about that lately, and I've sort of thought just like alternative, just in general, kind of suits the best, I think. But yeah, it's very... I do a lot of different things, and I don't know if I'll ever narrow it down to one sort of more definitive style. You know, it's all very still in the early days for me, but yeah, you know, that's one massive part of it for me is I really enjoy all the different elements that I play.
It doesn't limit you either for any future song work also.
Yeah, well, that's right.
You're surfing this like...
I've found it has been detrimental in some ways because, you know, people they might see a video, like one video or something, and then or see a snippet of a gig or something, and then take that as everything you do kind of thing. So that's where I've, I guess, tried to just, you know, display a bit of everything. But yeah, like that's sort of one downside of it, but that just comes with you know, getting out there more and getting people familiar with what I do. But yeah, like, you know, I love all the different aspects of it. I love playing all different genres and all different styles of music and whatnot. And there's a you know, good time and place for each one kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's it. Do you mix up your set each time, or do you kind of just feel the vibe of the room, or what's your approach of that?
I sort of, like, it started out, I used to do, you know, a lot of covers and sort of only have like the most common set times I play is probably, you know, 3 hours. So it was sort of, I played everything that I had and that was it. But as I've grown and got a bit more content, you know, it's easy for me now to cater to the crowd kind of thing, which is also a big conflict for me because I like to play what I want to play. I like to, you know, be me kind of thing, which is hard to do at a lot of, you know, venues around here at the level that I'm at kind of thing. But it's, you know, slowly getting more and more that way. And that's definitely something that I've really, really encompassed along the whole journey kind of thing. And I know if actually Mum would be like one of the biggest people who would tell you that. Like every gig she'd be like, oh, you should play this song, you should play that song. And I'd be like, nah, I don't want to do that song.
But that's good though, because it shows that your I guess your artist persona is actually unique to yourself. You're not going out there to play the crowd pleasers.
Yeah, well, that's right. You know, I think like there's a lot of sort of things like that with a lot of kind of musicians like me now. It's like, I even like, you know, people that have got to know me now, everyone just kind of yells out like at gigs and that, play horses or Wonderwall or whatever.
Yeah. But you're not the guy for that though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't see you as that guy. And I don't think you should be that guy because there's a lot of room for those guys somewhere else. And those guys are playing every weekend and twice a weekend at all the pubs and hotels or whatever around the local Bendigo area. That's like, for example, like why if I were to gig out doing my own stuff, I hope to God sometime this year myself, my music with my own band, I would probably do another, like a cover or whatever, that in a style that's relevant or of an artist that's relevant to what I'm playing.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I wouldn't, make a
Stretch
whole
out of
set
that.
of set lists or like that, because it's not worth my time. If I'm going to gig out, I want to play the music that I'm playing. You know what I mean?
You want to be
Yeah.
authentic.
That's exactly it. And that's the cool thing about
Yeah,
Daniel Aaron is he's authentic. You're authentic, you know?
That's like I've thought about that too. Like, I mean, obviously, like venues book you to, you're there for a job. Like, when you play at pubs and bars and that kind of thing, you're there for them. You're there to get people there. You're there to keep people there and whatnot. And it is hard to, it almost, I guess for me, doesn't feel selfish, but it's like, like I want to do my own thing, but doing that is like, kind of clashes with.
I know.
Yeah.
Once
but,
money is attached to anything, like a paid gig, it's like you have 3 hours to kill. And, most pubs just want like a slow version of a pop song or
Yeah,
something like that. And you're like, I want to do my new song.
Yeah, exactly.
And
like, I guess
it's that compromise, I guess.
Yeah.
and being in, like, I've thought about, people who are in cover bands and whatnot. And like, I think of my boss, Greg, who's in a cover band. They're sort of just starting at a wedding band kind of thing and really getting into it. And like, in that sense, it seems more about the business side of it.
For sure.
And, because like they learn all these songs that get requested and whatnot. And it's like, that's about doing it for the crowd, doing it to get people there.
Yeah.
And, I guess you'd still have a bit of fun and whatnot, but that's not what it's about for me. For me, it's about.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Jackson, you've experience playing in local bands around town.
For sure.
Speak to you. I don't specifically. I only know from the Navy Blue days. I mean, you did
That's about it.
You did a cover or two, but you guys were geared more towards your own original music. But that being said, there's only specific venues that will allow you to do that.
Yes, for sure.
So, like, how do you feel about trying to be an original artist in this kind of industry?
Well, we really prioritize, and it might have been my fault in particular. Like I really pushed forward the guys, dude, we have to do our own thing. We're not going to sell out. I was very much a radical when I was in that band, But the funny side of that is whenever we did do a cover, we would just do like a really big pop song. We would do like Chandelier by Sia or a song like that. Or I think there was another one or two also. But basically all that is sort of like big pop songs.
Yeah.
But we do it in our style,
I think-
with the heavy distortion and all that.
yeah,
and
that's
it
the-
was the crowd favorite.
Yeah.
People liked the covers more than our original,
do remember
so to
that.
speak.
I do
Because, to be fair, we probably didn't really find our sound completely collectively as a band. But people liked the covers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy. I think it's like, that's the good thing about doing that, is it's easy to make your own sort of version of those kind of songs when people hear it and go, I know that song.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they dig it and they're like, oh, that's really cool. Like, yeah.
But it's a hard thing too, because I recently got an offer to play in a strictly cover band, right? At the Maryborough Highland Society for like 2.5 hours for $1,000.
Oh.
That's the thing, isn't it? These things pay the money.
I really enjoy playing guitar. I don't get enough chance to play guitar in a rock band. I've never had the opportunity to do it, so here's a good chance for me to just play some covers that I know I'm comfortable playing and earn a couple bucks. That's the other side of it as well, because you have like your Daniel Aarons who will go out and only want to play originals, and then you have other people who are going to the pubs and whatever strictly for cash, or even the bigger gigs like you were just speaking to earlier, like wedding gigs. Like that's where the money is at.
Oh, yeah,
honestly.
sure.
But
You're going to
there's,
play by a strict code of contact with
there's
those gigs.
two kind of I guess musicians in this area here.
Two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
And it's like, I don't really want to be this kind of musician. I'd rather be that kind of musician. I'm not pointing at you specifically, but I'm just saying like, but like, I'd rather be, my own original artist. But that being said, like, how do you say no to a couple bucks at the same time?
It's all part of the crazy, I don't know, lifestyle and opportunities the musician pathway gives to you, I guess.
Yes. So
You gotta do it, and as long as you're active with no matter what gig you're doing, I think you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about getting experience as well, whether you're booking a lot of shows in a row on a tour or just playing your first bar gig or something like that.
But if you ever have a choice to be like authentic or the cash, obviously go the
Authenticity.
you know.
Because
And that will lead you in the right way.
because your authenticity is going to be what gets you some bigger gigs. So you recently played a really big gig that you had a really good opportunity to, I think it speaks to that. So that's the Triple J Unearthed competition, and you won a spot to play Groove in the Moo, which for those who don't know, it's a local music festival that I think it's a touring music festival.
Yeah, it is. I think it's the biggest regional festival in Australia.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
it's
It's billed as they want to hit
yeah.
up the regional towns.
Yep.
So in every state, they hit up basically the biggest regional town.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, it gets a lot of people out of the city to check out.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people come from Melbourne. I think it's like
yeah.
over half of the people that actually attended it.
It's roughly,
From
I
Melbourne
think it's a
kind of thing,
roughly
so-
10,000 people festival, Groove in the Moo, at least in Bendigo.
I think they sold, I heard somewhere they sold 15,000.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's probably majority Melbourne for sure.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I mean, it's kind of seems funny that like they take the big festival out of the big city, but all the people just come to it from there anyway. But I think that's the whole part of it, getting people up here and getting them out of the city and up to the country areas kind of thing. But
They seem to like it. It's doing a good job, Groove in the Moo.
yeah,
It's
and I
probably
mean,
been
it's
going
great
10
for
years
the great for Bendigo. It brings so many people here.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you obviously got the chance to do it by entering into a competition.
I did, yeah.
So speak to that if you could.
Well, it's kind of, I think it's good the way like Triple J Unearthed do it is it's very easy to participate in all of their incentives and whatnot. All you have to do is just have a song on Triple J Unearthed and they look at it and, and then I guess they have a short list and go from there kind of thing. So
That's
I
it.
feel like they'd spend a lot of time listening to songs because whenever you upload a song to Triple J, it's pending for like a week because they've got to listen to it,
That's
make
right.
sure that it's original,
That's right.
and, that it's not crap.
Not
I
just
guess.
spam or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
some
Yeah.
John Mayer song you uploaded.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So that's what happened. I actually got in touch with them because the song that I uploaded onto Triple J Unearthed to go into the running for the Groove in the Moo comp so the cutoff for the competition was like a few weeks before I actually wanted to release the song.
Oh,
So I was like, crap, how do I how do I
Kind
get
of
around
have to
this?
do
So
it,
so I
right.
emailed him. I was like, is there any way I can go into the running without uploading it onto
yeah,
Triple J Unearthed? And they were like, nah, unfortunately not. So I just did it anyway
yeah.
and just kept it on the down low. And then
Probably smart, eh? Just
Yeah,
not
yeah.
advertising on Facebook. Just it's only on Unearthed.
well, like I didn't want to tell anybody, that
It's very organic that way because like a lot of people share things on Facebook. It's
Every
like,
platform.
oh, we're on Unearthed, check it out. You know what I mean? So it's really cool to see that had its own growth to get to the point where you actually got to a chance to win the competition.
Well, I guess that's right. But so I'm like very glad I did that 'cause obviously otherwise. But and then a few weeks later I released it and obviously said that, hey, it's on Triple J Unearthed. Not that it's been there for a few weeks, but and there was like 2 or 3 people who found it before I released it. And I was like, oh no,
Don't
don't say anything.
Yeah.
But no, it was all good there.
How do you think the reception was from like the average Melbourne person who came out to Bendigo, happened to see Daniel Aaron on stage? Like, people obviously gelled with it. People, did they jump on the social media side of things? Check
Yeah.
you out?
It was not as much sort of like, are you talking about like after Groove and like in response to the set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. 'Cause it's, in front of,
Yeah,
Thousands of
Potentially
well, there
thousands
was
of,
actually a pretty reasonable
of
crowd
people.
there for when I played. Because I thought I was going to be opening. I thought the Triple J Unearthed act was first, like opening, but I was third. And I played after like Didiri, who's like
he's big.
emerging folk artist. Like he's doing really well. He's
touring
actually-
all over the shop. He was here recently.
Yeah, I went and watched him. So I played after him. So he brought in quite a few people. And it was good. Like the crowd was awesome, really got into it, which really sort of gave me a bit of a boost kind of thing and made me feel good about it all. And the set went really well. And but yeah, afterwards there wasn't really, I got a few likes here and there and a few more listens and that kind of thing and a few messages and followers and stuff, but it wasn't, it wasn't overly substantial kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I think,
Anything's something though, right?
yeah, but that's right. And in the biggest way, it's just taken me from here to here on the stature kind of thing.
Sure.
I've been able to use that like with this tour. If I hadn't have played groove and, probably half the gigs I may not have got kind of thing, it's just really given me the ammo to take
Something
it further.
for the resume, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
exactly. And it's something like, it could have sat there and I could have just let it go into the past and, note and like in enough time it'd sort of be like, well, that was ages ago kind of thing. But so I really wanted to keep the momentum going after it so that it's not, doesn't get to the point where it's like, oh, that's, too long ago now. I can't, really do anything off the back of it. But that's sort of where I utilize that in trying to book, these gigs for this tour and whatnot. And I think it's, definitely helped me a lot there. So I think that's probably the biggest part.
Using it to your advantage is
exactly.
very smart. You know what I mean? Like you can have it be a resume thing and have it just sit there on the back burner and say, oh yeah, like you said, once upon a time, blah, blah, blah. So you've actually been really smart. Like a lot of the musicians that I've had just in the studio circle that not necessarily recorded, but just know of, you've probably been the smartest because you're taking your music career seriously.
Yeah,
you're prepared to invest in it,
definitely.
and you're prepared to get all the tools behind you that you need to have these days, such as like shirts, social media stuff, logos, website, music video. That's what separates you from the average guy who's playing the pub every weekend because, like I said, you appear to be taking it more seriously.
Yeah, well, definitely. Like I guess it's sort of throughout my early teens, I was just sort of dabbling in it, and it's kind of weird for me to think about it now because for so long I've been like, oh, this is what I want to do. I love it. But yeah, I remember there was a point where I sort of consciously thought, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to dedicate myself to until, it either works or doesn't kind of thing. So that's, I live and breathe music basically. I was thinking about it the other day and it's basically, it's all I do. Like when I work at a music shop during the day and when I'm at home, it's just,
it's a good life.
Practicing, emailing, just writing, gigging, just everything, Yeah,
It's very admirable. Like a lot of people get caught up in society and, feel they need to like, oh, I need to get a really like good job or something like that or a university degree or any of these sort of bullshit things. But it's like, you're like, I want to do this and I'm going to invest all of my power into it.
Yeah.
And it's getting you places, man. So I got to say it's a good path to follow.
Yeah. Well, it's that, it is obviously like I don't like to, harp on about everything. I think that's a big aspect for me is staying as humble as I can about it all. But yeah, obviously, I'm proud of where it's come so far, but it has had its detriments, I suppose, in the fact that I've, especially of late, I've really sort of had to try and find a balance between both. And, I've started going out a bit more now and just going to gigs and when someone's like, oh, do you want to come to our place for a beer or something? Like, oh, no, I gotta do something music related. Now it's starting to be a bit more like, oh, yeah, I'll come around, and just because it's sort of got to the point where it was really stressing me out and just, I became really busy with it and it's all I was doing, I wasn't really getting out of the house and it also, I think a biggest part of that was the fact that I was so immersed in all the business side of it. I was, a bit losing touch with the, authentic side of it. And I wasn't writing, I'm still not, I'm really in the process of getting back into writing a lot more because that's the best part of it for me. And it just kind of takes you to another place and you can just really, put all your,
that's it.
All your
Get into that
down
flow
onto that paper.
make it
Yeah.
happen.
And I think that's where I'm really sort of at the moment is just trying to manage that balance between everything, between the business side of it, between the, writing and the authentic side of it and putting time into it, but as well as taking some time out for myself.
For sure.
I started.
You're still human. You gotta
Oh, that's right.
feel
Yeah.
this.
And I think in doing that, it got to like being so. It was almost like I was being overproductive. Like I was doing so much that it was kind of like a detriment to my production in a way.
I
like
hear you.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it was
I
kind
hear
of
you.
like I was just I was getting stressed, and I was starting to get easily sidetracked, and I was just it was really strange. And then I thought, like the more I started to do things for myself, then when I did get into doing the music stuff, I became, I had more energy to put into it. I was able to be more productive while I was doing it, not in the long term kind of thing.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
It's very smart because
So-
like I'm in the same boat as you. You know what I mean? I'm actually way overproductive. I have zero personal life. And that is a choice because I've invested so much time in this because I take this seriously. Every single night is something on, you know what I mean? So that's why as of this time, our actual last podcast is not available yet because I haven't had a chance to sit down and edit it. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's killing me because there's so much stuff I want to do. On top of that, spending time with my wife, which should be priority number one. But we both agree that, the business is our priority. This is our younger years. We don't have kids. Let's just put all our time into that. And it's wearing us very thin.
Yeah.
But, I do find that occasionally when I do have time to enjoy music, to sit down and play, like last night, I killed two birds with one stone.
Hey,
I sat and I tracked bass for an album for a couple friends. It was a paid gig, and I sat there and I actually got to play bass for the first time for like 3.5 hours. That was great. You know what I
Nice.
mean? It's nice to
Yeah.
actually play music for once while still being rewarded for it through, the conduit of the business. But those opportunities are few and far between. So you need to be able to set yourself up so you can be refreshed when you go to write music, or you do need to book shows. You can still be business minded while still being able to enjoy why you're actually doing it in the first place. It is a difficult balance, believe
Yeah.
me.
balance is the key word, and it's subjective how that balance happens, I guess. But to put it in business terms, like look at most 9-to-5 jobs. Most of the time during the day is not productive for any worker. It's just filling in time, wasting time. It's not being productive. People turn into zombies, conspiracy theories, yada, 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 you know? But like, if you have a passion and you just say to yourself, like, I'm going to invest like 15 to 20 hours a week in this, that's going to be like 100% organic, real sort of energy you're feeding it, as opposed to just saying, oh, I've got to spend every waking minute working on music or writing or whatever your passion is. You're going to get better results and better quality of life just pumping the brakes sometimes a little bit.
I agree. 100% agree.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the cool thing as well about you is like, you've found your own style over time. And as I spoke to earlier, you are very smart in the way you're investing your time into your brand. So you've put out a music video, and this isn't just like a whatever iPhone video. Like this is a legitimate video.
Yeah.
1080p.
So let's speak to that because like I was speaking to the guys at Hepron that they did it, Christian and Caleb.
Yeah.
Did they have somebody else help out as well?
Craig.
Oh yeah,
Barker.
yes.
Yeah.
So those three guys, so I was following their process and planning and whatever, and it's actually a legitimate music video. Like all the different cuts, there's a story to it. At the end of it, you and the other girl are walking like underwater and everything. It's a very unique thing. So speak to like your first music video. Like how did you get to
Yeah,
that point, and how do you feel about the end result?
Well, I was super stoked with how it turned out. I never had that whole process of releasing that song and video and that thing was way like I never
It was huge.
planned it really in the long run kind of thing. Like it started out, the guy that I produced the song with, just a mate, and like I met him through gigs, and we sort of saw each other more and more. In Echuca, he's from over that way.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I'm doing a bit of production stuff. Do you want to come around and we'll just like do some demos and whatnot? And yeah, and I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds cool. Like, yeah, so we went round and just started bumming around and recording some stuff, and then it kind of just turned into we're doing a song, we're doing a single. I'm going to release a single. I was like, oh, shit, like, okay, how do I do this? Yeah, so that was massive whole like. I mean, I think of it now and I'm like, you know, it's releasing a single is really not that hard. But then I was like, a whole world I had no idea how it worked, kind of thing. Like the whole, you know, actually releasing it and getting it out to the stores. Like you helped me with the digital aggregation kind of thing, obviously.
Very daunting.
And now it's just like, it's so easy. You just do it yourself.
I know.
But yeah, so that happened, and we just like, it took a long time. Obviously it wasn't his, you know, he had a day job and everything, so I only got around there every few weeks, and via correspondence was pretty slow. So it took probably, you know, 3 months to actually get the song down, get it done. And also because being my first time doing it, I think like once we'd got the mix solid and started to master it, I was being really picky. Like I now that I see it now, like just was really picky with little things in the mix. And
But you have to be.
yeah, well, yeah, but like it took, because, you know, and this whole time was just via correspondence between us, because, you know, he's an hour and a half away from me. So
Yeah.
it was like, oh, you know, it's not really viable for me to go over there every day kind of thing. Yeah, so I was like, he'd send me a master and I'd be like, yeah, I like that, but I'd like to just change this little thing. And then he'd send it, you know, redone. And I'd be like, oh, now there's something else, or like, oh, I actually like how it was. And so that was sort of one of the most straining parts of it. But when I finally got it and, you know, listened to it through everything, like earphones, you know, car speaker, monitors and everything, I was like, that's good. Like,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
We got there.
Yeah. So yeah, I went to release it and everything, and did all that and set the release date, and that was that. I was like, cool, that's it. That's
Yeah.
my first single. And then I don't even know how, like, I think because at that point I was working with Amber on the
Yep.
branding and the because no, that's right, because I was working with her for the cover art.
Yep.
For the single.
Yep.
And we got into some branding as well. And and that sort of set my mind into motion on the whole, you know, started getting momentum on the business side. I was like, okay, this is what you do.
Yep.
And then I was, you know, really, I think that's one big thing about the way that I do it all, is I try and be sort of strategic as I can, even if it's just the little things, you know, the tiny things about time and day of when you make a Facebook post or things like that. It's just, I think that's where it all sort of adds up, and I just try and be as kind of strategic and as efficient and effective as I can. So that's where I was thinking, like, how can I make this release bigger and better? How can I make it more viable? And, you know, I started thinking about a video and I was like, oh, it's a bit late now kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've already released it. Is it too late to be thinking about it? And and that's when I think I shot Amber an email and I was like, oh, do you do anything in that side of it? And she put me on to Hebron Films, Caleb there. And I was like, oh, well, it's not going to hurt. I'll just shoot him an email. And he's like, yeah, let's get it together and work something out. And I was like, okay, let's just go with it. All right, it's happening. So we had a coffee one morning and it was happening. It's like he gave me some quotes, and I'm kind of, I think, also one of those people who don't really like to turn people down and say no, and because obviously, like, you know, emerging artists at Scream's not having a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, you know, I don't have a lot of money to spend on
No one
this.
gets into music for money.
Yeah, and then, you know, he obviously making a video like that isn't cheap. So I was like, but I think, you know, it worked out really well, and in the fact that Caleb is just such a nice guy, and he wanted to work with me as well, which really helped, because he's, you know, he mostly was working with corporate stuff and you know, sort of videos that didn't have much, you know, storyline and emotion to them. So he was really keen to work with me as well. So, you know, we came to a deal and we're like, let's do it. And,
He's
yeah.
very good. Like if you've been to the local Bendigo cinema, I can guarantee there's at least one or two things there in the ads that he's shot.
For sure. Yeah.
Very, very well done. Very smart guy. Him and Levi as well. I don't know if you worked with Levi at all for your project.
No, I was in correspondence with him, but I don't think I've actually met him.
Not very nice guys. Very
I went
nice
to
guys.
school with both of those guys.
They're doing
back
very,
when.
very well for themselves, honestly.
Yeah, how old is he? And he's got his own filmmaking
He's
company.
Caleb's. I think he's 27 or so.
Yep. Levi's a bit younger.
Yeah, Levi's. Yeah,
At
I
least
think
younger than me, I
He's
should
he's around our age bracket. But he did the same thing for me a couple years ago. I did my own little EP with a guy that I still kind of work with every now and again. And I messaged him. I'm like, hey, would you be happy to do a music video? I said, look, this is all I got. I'm going home in like 3 weeks. My budget's spent. I want to get something out there. So if we can just do something really basic. So we just did like over 2 hours, just shot in the field for like a performance video, just the other guy and myself. Very nice to work with him. And we've still continued to have a working relationship with him. Amber, my wife's going to be doing their website and they're going to be doing a cinema ad for us.
Lad Studios.
Yep. For
Awesome.
Lad Studios. So
Nice.
it'll be really legit. Very good guys, and they're neighbors to us pretty much at this stage. So
They're on your block, right?
yeah. we like to catch up with them. So I'm really glad Amber suggested them put them forward because that's a really good thing for their portfolio, and that helps.
yeah.
It helps everybody grow
The
organically.
community, everything, right?
And it's like you're doing stuff that you want to be a part of, even though it may not be what you expect. Like, if you're used to doing corporate stuff, you can do a music video. Like, that's really cool. And obviously you can see I think it's benefited you because, like I said earlier, you're
course,
taking
yeah.
yourself
It's pretty
seriously.
polished.
It's really well
I
done.
saw it and I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Like,
Like that's
all right.
that's actually
This guy's taking it seriously. That was my first reaction.
and that was the big part of doing that. It's like putting that out there sort of made people realize that, and that's what me and Amber and before she put me onto Caleb was talking about, and with Caleb as well. It's like if I do this, and that's something I can build off, something to say like this guy's not buggering around. To start to develop that professional aspect of it, which really has benefited me. I think I get a lot of people come into the shop and be like, I saw your music video and it's really well done.
That's great.
Like some of them are like, oh yeah, the music's all right, but the music video is really good. I'm like, well, no, that's better than nothing.
But that's good because people associate you with the music video and not
Yeah,
necessarily the content creators or like the producers or whatever. So that's really good for you.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because like I met you not through like a recording aspect, but through design aspect. Because for those of you who don't know, Lad Studios also offers graphic design through my wife. So I thought it was really cool because you were my wife's first client as far as design, like organically. You contacted Lad Studios for design.
Yeah.
And that was really good because I was excited to see her work with you. And you had your single artwork, but one that was really cool that was kept under wraps for a long time was your Mind Garden artwork, which was really clever. Have you seen it?
It's good,
pretty
man.
cool. And that
I
was your
was
backdrop for
super
Groove in the
stoked
Moo
with
as
that,
well.
Backdrop for Groove in the Moo, I think, was more based off.
Oh, just your
the
Daniel Yaron logo.
running backwards
Was it?
logo artwork kind of thing.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
But cool.
Amber does some good work.
Yeah.
She even did
Navy
like
Blue
a
back
single.
in the day.
Yeah. The Alice single. It's
Yeah.
like Alice in Wonderland and mushrooms.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything psychedelic and cosmic. I
Good old
guess
days.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, well, because originally that was going to be a future EP album cover kind of thing, because I thought, Mind Garden is probably one of my best tracks. That's probably the title track that I have it. The name works really well with for an album EP kind of thing. But yeah, and after Groove in the Moo, I was talking with Ash, the guy that I produced Running Backwards with, and we were just having a chat, and he's like, like we were talking about, keeping the momentum up, and I need to get something out, need to keep doing stuff. And he's like, I'd be happy to do another song with you. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And and then we're like, what can we do? And I was like, that song I think would be a good one to put out after Groovin', because it's probably, one of my best, try and get a bit more hype out of it kind of thing. So that kind of happened. And then I was like, oh, that artwork's just sitting there. Like, It's so good.
too
Gotta
good
do
not to
it.
use,
I'll
yeah.
just-
You
yeah,
gotta use it.
I'll just figure something else out when it gets to that
Yeah.
point down the track. But yeah, no, it's like, yeah, such good artwork, and I think it, having that also, sort of reinforces that professional aspect and that
For sure.
that whole thing. And another thing, like a big thing also that I've thought about is the whole visual thing behind me, is because I do such a variety of music. It's like, how do I capture all that into a graphic as well?
Yeah.
Which is really hard also. But I think I like to go with that kind of vibe. I love the ocean. That's always been a big part of me, and a lot, like, I've written some of my songs about that and that thing, and just the whole kind of, I'm very like with the animals and that kind of thing. And yeah, so I think I think that was a really good one to go with. But yeah, that was awesome.
Solid content. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Consistency is key. Like, that's the thing
That
that
momentum.
you need to keep building that momentum. Like, Groove in the Moo is obviously a really good spot on the ladder for you. But like you mentioned earlier, you think about releasing your first single and it's like, oh shit, that's really tough. You know what I mean? And you spend X amount of time. Like, I've been at the stage where, I've recorded a song, mixed and mastered it, and within a 5-hour span, and it's on Bandcamp, like boom, right then and there. That's how easy it is. But when you're looking at the top of the hill, it's like, oh, how am I going to get to that point? But actually, now you're actually midway up. So it doesn't seem as difficult. So like, you've got your tour coming up. You've got a music video behind you. You've got 2 singles. You've got all this awesome branding by a really talented graphic designer. I mean, really props to the
Shameless.
props to the engineer in the other room there. So what's next for Daniel Aaron? So like, do you have more songs planned?
Give us a teaser of that strategic mindset. you
Yeah,
have,
what's
brother.
what's next?
Well, I mean, like, immediately I'm working. I've just finished a video for Mind Garden, actually.
Oh, great.
But I did it all myself. Like, I kind of got I had a bloke that I was working with, just a good mate actually, who's dabbled in a lot of management kind of thing, and he was kind of managing-ish, just helping out with stuff, just taking the load off a little bit. He was really into it. He loved it. So he was like, just give me some stuff to do. I'll just help you out. And he was my manager for Groove in the Moo. Like,
Wow.
I was like, last minute, I was like, dude, like, do you want to be on set with me on the day? Like, I can see if I can get you in, kind of thing. And he was like, because he's studying at uni, and he was like, oh, look, I think I've got a trip. I'll see what works with my calendar and everything. And he had a look, and he had a trip, and he was like, bugger it. Like, I just, like, I mean, for someone like him, it's not a thing you get to do every day. So he was like, yeah, let's do it. So I got in touch with the coordinators and got him a management posse, and he got in, and he's done a fair bit in photography as well, and knows his dad actually is a producer at Box Hill Studios, or I think something like that, and he was telling me something about his dad. He's like, his dad helped write the lyrics for The Gambler or something, some massive song. Like, it was weird as, but so he was on set there, and he got a fair bit of footage for that with his stuff, and then like got some good footage at another gig, and then just some stuff in between. So I just kind of got all this footage together, got as much as I could, and like was like, right, I'm gonna do a video out of this. And that's actually another thing. Like, I really, like, when I was a bit younger, I got a GoPro, and really loved dabbling in that kind of thing, and I love that kind of video production thing and photography as well. And so I just used iMovie and just pieced it together. But that's
all you need.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I could not do this. I could put it aside, wait till the next one or something. But that's where I figure, just putting every thought into it, as much effort as I can without it, being detrimental, like we were talking about before, that whole thing. But I was like, no, I'll do it. Like, I enjoy it and whatnot. So, and it's just something to keep it going on for a bit. Yeah, and I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. So that I'm thinking of putting out tomorrow.
Oh, great. That's great. So
Nice.
that's for Mind Garden, is that correct?
Yeah.
So
Little clip for
now
that.
we will have Daniel Aaron live in studio doing a performance after the show. Are you doing Mind Garden?
I will be,
Okay,
yeah.
very good. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for Mind Garden by Daniel Aaron.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm really keen for
Yeah.
that one.
But in the long run, I guess it's probably the I guess a very imminent thing for me is an EP or an album. You know, I kind of like I had this sort of idea that I have a lot of ideas,
You're an ideas man.
I know that feeling, man.
and a lot of them
Mine just don't come to fruition very often.
that's the thing, you know, I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't see. Out of all the, you know, out of every 10 ideas you have as a musician or songs you write, one or two of them might actually come.
Word.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I'd really love to, and you know, it's still a potential, but I'd really love to just, as the first bulk of songs that I release, just like smash out like a, you know, 12, 16 song album kind of thing.
Just do it.
and
Nice.
just do it. But so that's definitely the next thing that I'll
It's the next logical step. Isn't
yeah
it?
definitely. You know, I get a lot of people been asking for ages, you know, do you have any CDs and that kind of thing? And you know, I don't have any substantial content and whatnot. So that's definitely one big thing that I'll be thinking about next. And you know, I still would love to do that whole album kind of thing, and it's just whether or not, I guess, when the time comes that I don't feel ready yet
Yep.
to do something like that in terms of developing my sound and the songs that I'm going to put onto it, and how I want them to sound. Because obviously, a big thing with being solo is I can do whatever I want in the studio,
Yeah, that's great.
but live it can be quite limiting sometimes. You know, and one big thing I've been thinking about lately is it would be great to have a drummer on stage with me, but I think there's also that stubborn, like, not
I can do it myself kind of
selfishness, but
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm very.
It's a big part of your existing sound, though. So do you
Yeah.
honor that, or do you expand?
That's
Do you
right. You know,
experiment.
I love doing it all on my own, and I think coming from, I think that's a part of a personal thing is, you know, from coming from Pyramid Hill and that kind of thing as well. I've been quite a solo, like I like doing things on my own, and
Yeah.
the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
Pyramid Hill.
but yeah, it's just there'd be so much more I could do, but and there's that aspect of in a studio I can just do whatever. But then there's that part of figuring out what I'm going to do in the studio if it's different to what I'm going to do live before all that and whatnot. So
Difficult question, man.
there's a lot I'm still yet to think about and develop before I put my energy into doing something like that. And I guess a big aspect for me is affording it as well.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
All in good time, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I think, I'm very much about, going with your gut feeling kind of thing and just really, doing what you feel is right. And I just don't feel ready to do it yet.
There's no reason to rush it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, as long as you're consistent with stuff you're doing, it doesn't ultimately have to be this big body of work like as an album. I mean, like an album would be really cool, but like, from what it sounds is you're not ready to nail down your sound for, 20 tracks yet.
Yeah.
It's a big undertaking doing an album.
Exactly,
I spent
yeah.
like 2 years on one album, and I look back at it now. I think it sounds like shit. You know what I mean? Not to discourage you, but like, you really need to invest your time in it. So, I mean, that being said, like we've spoken about this before off the record, but I would love to work with you at some stage in some regard, just because it'd be really cool because your style is so unique. And I think it'd be really smart of me to try and work with you. Another thing Lad Studios has recently announced is we're bringing on another engineer and producer. So we'll have him on the program at some stage. But like between him and I, we will be able to tackle whatever Daniel Aaron wants to do. But bearing in mind is like what you were saying before, is your hands are tied because you can only replicate what you can do like in a live scenario. So you really need to like say to yourself, okay, I can do A through Z, but really I can only do A to D because I'm just myself. And you can sample things in Ableton. You're running Ableton live, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you can sample things in Ableton, but it's like,
Yeah.
Have a DJ on set.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is
dubstep
like,
drops.
do you bring somebody else in? That's a big question, man. That's it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I think down the track that will definitely be probably something that happens. You know, I'd love to, and like with the writing process as well, doing it on your own, I think is very different, and to how you naturally develop a progression of a song kind of thing, you know, is very different to how you would do it with other people, because you know, because of that aspect of you can't suddenly, especially with me with my looping, you know, break into a completely different progression and whatnot, and that so I think, you know, dabbling in that would definitely be something interesting, and just trying new stuff and seeing what works. Yeah, and that's, you know, that's another big thing is what I do live on my own, and, you know, practicing in that is obviously naturally just sort of what comes to me, and very different to what could potentially happen in a studio. And that's what I've, like, you know, found that I love about doing that. Like Mind Garden was, you know, some aspects of that were a very different song before I went into the studio and recorded it. I love just, you know, I've had some before my own stuff. I had some experience with school. You know, we went down to a studio in Collingwood and did some stuff down there. And it was always like, you know, you got to be on point, have everything ready to go. And it was just like you get in there and like nervous, and which is really not ideal for a studio setting, because you need it to be. You
need to honor that creativity. Like
exactly,
you gotta,
but doing it in that vibe, especially working with Ash was good because it was such a chilled out vibe. You know, it was like just in his room kind of thing, just mates. And it was like, we're just putting some stuff together. It wasn't that, you know, real sort of tense atmosphere, but it's just
different. It's so different. Like, because the nature of the studio that, like you were speaking to, there's two ways you can do it. You can come in knowing, you know, okay, I've got 4 hours booked. I can only afford 4 hours. I got to come in and I got to knock it out. It's going to be what it is. But I haven't had people come in here and actually ask me to help write as well. I would actually really like to be a producer and arranger and songwriter for specific sessions, but nobody's actually come in and been willing to do that. So that is the one cool thing, is like you can allow your things to organically grow in the studio if you so desire it to. Jackson, I know you have some experience recording. Like, when you've recorded with Navy Blue before, like you just came in, boom, knocked it out, or you know what I mean? Like, do you prefer letting things write themselves, like in a studio
pretty
setting?
much. It was pretty like pre-planned, I'd say.
Yeah.
And our main producer at the time was just our drummer.
Yep.
So we would just like each go in and see Lewis, who's hopefully a guest on the show.
Yes.
Down the track.
I would love to get him in.
Yeah. Resident pedal junkie.
Yes.
But yeah, like on each of our random off days via correspondence, like, oh, I need Jackson to record the rhythm guitar this day.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew needs to do the vocals. So like we just made it work whenever we could over like, but we did go in with the mindset of, all right, we need to record these 2 songs over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's just make it happen.
Yeah.
That sort of mindset. But by contrast, some bigger bands, they'll like hire out a studio for like, this is a lot more larger scale, obviously.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to hire out the whole studio for 2 weeks. We'll basically live here and we'll just record an album over 2 weeks.
Yep.
And they won't even come in with many full songs. They just make it happen organically. Obviously, they have guitar riffs in the back of their head.
Didn't like Red Hot Chili Peppers do something like that? They like
For
locked
sure,
themselves in a house for
a lot of people with Rick Rubin in general.
He just sits on like the sun whatever window and just like lays like that.
We've mentioned Rick Rubin on this podcast a few times.
Because we can reference.
That's it.
But that's cool. Like that's what the studio environment allows. You can have it be whatever you want.
Parkway
to be.
Drive recently did it actually.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. They just hired out, I don't know, they probably did it over like a week or two. I can't remember what it said. There was a post on their Instagram that highlighted it, and they have GoPros. They're just filming the whole process.
Yeah.
And no doubt they'll make, you know, like music videos and have clips of that whole process, you know, because that's interesting to a lot of people.
You just need to be willing to like let somebody else take the reins.
Yeah.
But it's difficult because you are Daniel Aaron.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where working with Ash was interesting sometimes because it was like, oh, like he was very good in his field. We were, you know, in a lot of ways similar, but he's a bit more on the electronic side kind
Yeah.
of thing, and just different sort of mindset in the production side of it. And I was like, I really want it to sound like this. But I did sort of come to accept that as well, and trust him, because I thought like the fact that he's basically taught himself everything that he knows in that aspect, and he's like, I was like, it took a while to get it out, but it's turned out really well, and I think he's doing very well and has a lot of potential in that aspect. So I sort of came to a point where I started to trust him and take on the mindset of like sort of put aside all the preconceptions that I had of what I wanted the song to sound like, and just be like, let's just see how it comes out.
That's
Go
the
with
key
flow.
word.
Yeah,
Trust. It can be applied to any craft also. Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
exactly. And I guess on what you were talking about before, like the big thing, with that is also financing it. Like,
Yes.
if you're going to hire out a studio for
Yeah,
someone,
yeah.
that's all well and good and ideal, but who's going to? And I guess bands that, like, I know a few bands that have, like, one band in particular, one of their guitarists he owns a management company, and like, so that's ideal for them. Like, and
Yeah.
he does all that side of it and everything. Knowing people or having people in your band or whatever that may have a studio set up or be qualified in that area or whatnot would obviously help a lot.
It helps. I mean, a lot of times, like most people in bands, I would say probably 5 or 6 out of 10 musicians these days dabble in some sort of home recording setup.
for sure.
So, like what you were speaking to earlier, like your Navy Blue days, Lewis, the drummer, he was, he had his own little studio. Ash from Color Court, he has his own setup. Everything I've ever played in has been recorded by me, just because I'm purely looking for something to do.
Your
to try
studio
and
started off just being Eric's setup though.
It used to be
Right.
me with a 1-channel interface, one microphone, into a really shitty Avid MBox 2, and headphones using GarageBand. That's what it used to be. This is like 10 years ago.
GarageBand. Yep.
And obviously you can see what it's grown into, because I've been lucky enough to have A, people willing to take a chance, and B, people actually willing to invest.
That's it.
And that's what's allowed to grow to this stage. So now I'm looking for the people who want to, really, really sit down and make something really cool. That's why I've, been really keen to bring on the other engineer, see what he can kind of attract. And I've got a couple of things booked out, and it's good. But the best thing is when people allow you to, allow themselves to trust you with their music, because you do find, like you were saying before, it turns into something really unique.
Exactly.
So, but bearing that in mind, how do you replicate that live? So that's the good question. So we're going to find out exactly how Daniel Aaron replicates it live
This weekend.
this weekend on tour, coming up. So what are your days for the tour? Obviously, this will be posted probably midway through the tour or after.
Yeah.
So we can't really plug it.
It's a pretty sparse tour and finishes like 5th of October. So
Oh, well, we got plenty of time.
yeah, you got time.
Plenty of time.
And that all comes with doing it all myself, being the first time, not
Yes.
giving myself enough time. I was like, I just need to, and I was like, I want to, have it. Originally, I wanted to sort of try and have it within a month.
Yeah.
And originally it was going to be like July, and then it was like July, August, and then it was like, oh, now it's August, September, now it's August, September, October.
Yeah.
But that all just comes with it, and just learning curve. But I kept it pretty sparse, which is good, because it, at this stage it allows me to keep living my normal life in between and working and whatnot, and being able to finance the tour. So that's sort of the time frame that's taken on. But I mean, it's just something. It's just the posters and everything has worked out really well, and it's still got that I guess professional aspect to
That's
it,
it,
and
man.
it just looks
Still
looks
turns
alright. It's
heads,
just
right?
something. Yeah.
You got stuff behind you, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like we spoke to before, you're taking your music career more seriously. You're allowing it to not only grow, but grow organically within consistency of content. In a digital age that we're in now,
The information age.
consistency is key, whether it be Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And that's what you're doing. You know, having played Groove in the Moo, you're building up on that. You've got a music video, you've got great branding, you've got a website now, and you've got a tour. You know what I mean? Like, what musician these days that's consistently geeking out, that's trying to make a career for themselves? Who can say that they're doing that? Maybe they are, but not as well.
Few and far between.
And that's the cool thing. And I think it's been really interesting to actually sit down and talk to you properly for the first time. And actually, you know, get a little bit more insight on what's actually happening within your mind garden. Oh man,
Pardon the pun.
that's really clever there.
That's good.
So I think we'll wrap it up here for episode 7.
Episode 7.
Episode 7
feels good.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Unfortunately, obviously, we didn't have Big Ted with us, but I think we've done well regardless.
I think it happened.
This has been a really, really good, informative, relaxed
I've had a great time.
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
So stay tuned after the break. We're going to have Daniel Aaron perform his latest single, Mind Garden.
Live in the live room.
Any last things you want to plug other than your tour?
No.
That's it?
Yeah. That's
Cool.
Let's do
I've
it.
got a funny story.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I've got a funny story.
I want to hear it.
Just before we do the final clap off.
Let's hear it.
But you mentioned earlier about basically sneaking your manager into Groove in the Moo for free.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said it so bluntly, but that's the reality. It's in the past now, right? Nah. I watched this video. It popped up the other day. It's this guy getting his mate into Splendor.
In a bin.
That's the one.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
that yesterday. I was like, that is awesome.
So it's like this guy dressed like he wanted to get his friend
Yeah.
who couldn't get a ticket into Splendor, which is more or less Australia's version of Coachella,
Yeah,
sponsored
yeah.
by Triple J and all that. So he dresses up just in like a high vis vest and like just wears shorts, a big gumboots, has a
High
couple,
vis. That's all you need to sneak into anything.
has a couple of like, you know, plastic bin bags with him. He's just
Yeah.
picking up some like coffee cups and all
Yeah.
that. And he finds a bin eventually,
Yeah.
just on the outside. And he's walking it down. He gets his mate in there,
Yeah.
and he's just holding another bag. Just walks straight past security, and then they jump out. They're in the festival, they're having a good time. That's all you have to do.
Isn't that
One of
clever?
them's wearing basically a janitor's outfit for the full festival, but that's
matter.
totally worth it.
I feel
you
like
know?
that's like
it's part of
you'd
the
fit in
Yeah,
that,
it's
in
like
that environment there. Yeah.
People just trust people in high vis. Like I saw a video recently of what can you sneak into with like just a vest and like a clipboard. So people like snuck into like movie theaters, theme parks, whatever. It's actually really funny, and people don't take notice to it. So
That's funny.
people should jump on that.
there you go. So next episode we'll be wearing high vis.
Yes,
I guess
I
that's
think
it.
we're good.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm excited to hear Daniel Aaron's Mind Garden. Thanks again for watching, listening. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you follow along with Daniel Aaron on his upcoming tour. Good to know it's spanned over a long period of time, so we can actually kind of plug that a little bit as well.
Where can people find you, Aaron?
Yeah.
You got Instagram, you got Facebook.
I do. I've got all the works: Facebook, Instagram, Triple J and Earth.
What's your handle?
It's all just Daniel Aaron.
Daniel
Got a
Aaron.
Daniel Aaron?
website.
Keeping it simple. Love it.
DanielAaron.co. Go there and you can find it all.
Wonderful. .co. I love the .co.
Yeah. Well, that's all I could get. There was no .com or .com.
.co is very.
They ran out.
It's very 2018. You know, .co. Nobody needs the M anymore. Just .co.
They're like, whenever I text it to people or tell people, they're like .com or .co. I'm like, not .co. Like I'm not, no typo. Like it's
.co.
It's
Very
a thing.
intentional. Cool. Well, that's it. Check out Daniel Aaron's Mind Garden. Boom.
this. I never thought it would have come to this. I never thought it would have come to this. I never thought it would have come to this. See, I never thought it would have come to this. I never thought that I'd come to miss the hit, the way that it can take you higher than you've ever been. I've never been able to find my mind in the abyss. When I'm confined within it, I could fly a million miles away to where I've never been. To see things that I've never seen, to meet people that I've longed to meet, to be with those who mean so much to me. I used to believe that I'd never be able to get free from this place and show my face up in the places that I've longed to play in. But now my dreams are more than dreams, cause I can see them up ahead. They're closer to me now than they've ever been before. I pledge to commit myself to this, no matter how much help I get, unless in the end I'm brought to my demise by people who don't see the extent of what I'm giving them. So until that day comes, I'll never let another opinion get a hold of my goals and what I'm ultimately visioning. Ha! We are the tiny giants, seeping into the silence. So step into my mind's garden and feast your soul on my desire. Yeah, we are the tiny giants, setting this world on fire. So step into my mind's garden and taste the fruits of my asylum. We are the tiny giants, seeping into the silence. So step into my mind garden and feast your soul on my desire. We are the tiny giants, setting this world on fire. So step into my mind garden and feast your soul on my desire.